Hey everyone, welcome to the Cedar Room podcast where we talk about life, family, a lot of business, and a little bit about everything else. I'm Dan Vanderkoy, husband to my stunning wife Erin, dad to our 3 wild kiddos, and owner of Mana Insurance Group. From running around playing games as a youth pastor to running an insurance company, I've experienced and learned a lot. We hope this is a place for you to come think, process, and challenge yourself to grow. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay connected as we talk through these ideas together. Hey guys, Dan Vanderkoy here with Mana Insurance and the Cedar Room podcast. Excited to have Tyler Bajema, one of the owners at Pacific Edge Builders, on today. And Ty, how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks, Dan. I'm doing pretty great today. You know, anytime you can get a sunny day in the end of October,
As a contractor,
you're feeling good. Everybody's happy, and you got positive vibes around. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So Ty, you and I have known each other a long time. We go to church together. Our families are good friends. You have your wife Danielle, and you have 4 girls.
That's right.
So it's a little crazy around your house sometimes, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dan. It definitely keeps me on my toes. I think ultimately I'm outnumbered dramatically. So, I'm kind of working through that, to be honest with you. But it keeps us busy, and they're a joy to have around.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to get in today. I think one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on this podcast is just to hear a little bit of your story, right? We hear a lot about now people getting out of high school and going to like a 4-year college and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on education, which can be great if it's for the right reasons.
Yep.
But you don't necessarily have to do that in order to have a successful career.
Right.
And it's been really cool for me to watch yours and Ian's company with Pacific Edge just really take off over the last few years, especially. But it wasn't always that way, and it had to start back at some point. So why don't you give me a little bit of your story and background of like when you started in the construction industry, and kind of how that's evolved over time to where you are at today.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, it started when I was about 17 years old, and I knew Jason Van Hofwagen pretty well from church. We played drums together. And my dad said, you should go get a job with Jason. He makes cabinets. You can just start sweeping up in the shop, and it might be a good job long term. And I was like, okay. So I talked to Jason, and he's like, no, sorry, man. You're too valuable for that. I already got a kid that comes in on Saturdays. He's like, you should call Kurt Tinklenberg, who was a custom home builder at the time. Yeah. And so I did, and Kurt hired me, and I started working after school.
Okay.
And my first job was, I remember, 3 o'clock after school, and they put me way up on a roof, and I just started sheeting a roof. And at that point in time, I'm like, this is awesome. It was kind of edgy, kind of extreme. I liked that. Yeah. And from then on, I worked there for probably, I'd say 3 years. And then he suggested that his employees at that point go on their own and become subcontractors. So me and Mark Tinklenberg, we went on our own, started our own business. I'd Bajema Construction at the time. Yeah. And so then, the economy wasn't great. It was kind of dipping at the time.
When was that? Like, what year was that?
Probably? Oh, let's see. If I graduated in 2003, 5 years later, it'd probably be, 2007, 2008, I would say, when I went on my own.
Yeah, so the economy was just booming, right?
Yeah, just starting to take the old nosedive for sure. And I mean, around here, it wasn't terrible, right? It stayed fairly consistent, but I realized the self-employment dream was okay, but it was a struggle. I mean, we made good money when we made money, but it wasn't always consistent. And that's kind of what we tell people who are thinking about it, starting a career with a company or going on their own, is it's good when it's good, but ultimately the stability long-term is something that Ian and I wanted to create, which would lead me to my next point. And so we started working together, and we wanted to hire a guy. Between the two of us, we were still separate companies, and we were like, well, we need to make one company if we're going to do that.
Okay, let me back up. So how did that work so Ian was kind of operating as his own entity.
Yep,
you
Van
were
Rye
operating,
Construction.
And you were operating as your own entity. So
Correct.
Then how did that, would you build a custom home or a spec house, or what did that look like? And then how would that relationship work as you guys were separate, but maybe doing stuff together, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty common around here for like 2 independent companies to be working together on one project, but it would be, I would have my own house or he'd have his own house, and we would just pay each other an hourly wage to help build it. And, back then we would do everything from foundation all the way up through trim. So that's kind of how that worked. And as we move forward, it became apparent that we wanted to make something that hopefully could stick around, hopefully could help us through slower economies and cover a broad base of things, be able to grow, basically.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's cool. So now you guys, you joined together.
Yep.
You've had some different employees. You've had some growth over the last few years, especially.
Yep.
How did that all come to fruition? How did things begin to grow? Is there a niche that you've had that has helped things take off? What does that look like now and kind of as that evolved into that?
And I mean, I think to put my finger on it, I was talking with Ian about that this morning, and honestly, we attribute it to not saying no to anything. And we basically, when doors are open, we walk through them and we find a way to make it work. Whereas a lot of people, when they get busy, they tend to just start shutting down, start saying, no, I'm overwhelmed, this is enough. We wanted to grow a team that could handle multiple projects and that could still create the level of service that we wanted to give to our customers.
Yeah. So it's interesting because a lot of times people say, well, you need to learn the power of the word no, right? A lot of people do take on too much and they get stressed or they get anxiety and it just becomes too much for them. And I'm sure you've never felt overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But so what does that look like from a standpoint of all of a sudden, maybe you guys were doing 1 or 2 projects together and now you have a team of people. And I mean, I know this is being self-employed too. Like I don't just have me, I have 12 other people that I'm kind of responsible for their livelihood a little bit. And so making sure that you have enough work, right, for that. But then what did that look like to kind of start to take things to the next level? And like, how do you like sift through that? Because I'm sure, one house going at a time or 2 is very different than 3, 4, 5, 6, and other stuff you venture into too.
Yeah, I think honestly, it was getting the right people in place and people that you trusted, because when it wasn't always easy, and honestly, to go from 2 to 4 houses at a time was probably way harder than going from, say 10 to 15 houses at a time. And it basically is about trusting the people beneath you and making sure that they're continuing the same level that you would run the job at. Correct.
Yeah. So a lot of it comes into the training of your team and the people that you have, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say, like I'm in a situation where like I have a business now and I'm on my own. Like I'm the sole owner and I've kind of told people, I said, I'm not doing the business partner thing again. But for you and Ian, it seems like a really good balance. And you and we talk a lot and you've said that, it's really nice to be able to go on vacation and not have to worry about things or things like that. Why do you think it has worked for you guys so well?
I think one of the reasons is we didn't want to bring our spouses into the business and share the stress in our own homes. So I think a lot of times when you have a sole owner, and it's different for everyone obviously, but you end up, your business partner is your wife, and the major topics at home become, well, this job or that job or this customer or that customer, and it becomes, you're totally absorbed in that. And one thing we made very clear early on, we had set hours. We were going to work from 7 to 5, and that was it. It wasn't going to be into the evening. We weren't going to do book work in the evening. And I think setting those boundaries, and honestly, I wouldn't be able to, and I wouldn't want to grow a company without a partner to be able to share the load with. And I think we partnered because we wanted to grow. We wanted to be something more than a few houses at a time kind of guys.
So what's the scope of your work like? If someone is trying to figure out what you do and what is available for them to hire you to do, here's your opportunity, Ty. I mean, I've said multiple times at our Bible study breakfast meetings or whatever it might be that I feel like you are the Chip Gaines of the Pacific Northwest. And you have the personality, and I've even said I think you should start your own TV show. You should have a camera crew following you around.
I don't think we're there yet, Dan. But
I don't know. You're not supposed to say no. You said you said you don't say no to things.
If the opportunity was in front of me, I'd walk through the door.
Okay,
let's put it that way. But I'm not going to force it.
So Kaylee, we need to figure out how to make this opportunity happen. Mark, you got the camera crew here, so we can figure something out, right? So okay. So give me what you guys do. What if someone's looking, they got a project they want to do, maybe multifamily or custom home, or even they want to start doing spec houses. I mean, what all do you do? What's your product offering? What styles? I mean, that kind of stuff.
I would say we specialize in new construction. So ground up, turnkey new construction. We don't
residential,
commercial, everything. Our scope would be from the spec house, which I like to call a for sale house, because spec house kind of has some dirty connotations with it. Like the quality's not quite there. But
and really quick, I would comment on that too. I know you guys for sure, and even a lot of the other builders in this area really do a quality job.
Absolutely.
It's not like those, like the spec or row houses you see in California or like different places like that. But a lot of even the spec houses here are built more like custom houses.
They certainly are.
And not just from you guys either, just the industry in general in Whatcom County.
No, we have an incredible group of contractors in this area. There's no doubt.
And there's a lot of integrity too, right?
Absolutely. So that goes a long way. But we do apartment projects too. We have a couple larger apartment projects going in Bellingham. We're getting into some commercial work. We don't have any massive commercial jobs yet, but that's something we are looking to grow into. And then we do spec houses for other people with, if they want to sell houses, we'll build them for them. And then obviously the custom home. There's always a handful of custom homes going on. And one thing that sets us up different than other people would be we make the process easy and streamlined, and we're just transparent. I mean, we're showing you everything. We have a pretty low markup. We're not trying to get rich on every house. It's just honest business, and we want to be around for a while. And we're young, and we're not going anywhere. So.
That's cool. So you talked about a streamlined process to make things simple. And I think that's really important. We try to do the same thing in our business, where we try to just break things down. Like here's A to Z in the game plan. Here's maybe some things that are like non-negotiables that like you're probably going to have electricity in your house, right? You're probably going to want water. I mean, maybe not, but it's going to be hard to insure it if they don't have that stuff. Because anyway, so what is that, like that process? Let's say we have someone come in, or my wife and I say, hey, we want to have you build a house for us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What does that look like? How do you start it? And I think it'd be good to give people insight, because there's probably a lot of people who maybe even get scared off by the thought of it, or the process, or the overwhelming, right? I mean, you have like layouts and design, and you have so many choices, right? And everyone always says if your marriage can make it through a remodel or a construction project, like or a new build, then you're set for life, right? Like
we're marriage counselors along the way. There's no doubt about it. I would say it is an overwhelming process, and I think it does scare a lot of people away. One thing we encourage people to do is contact us early on. This doesn't always happen, because a common theme with house building right now is a young couple will go to their designer, build and design this beautiful home, and then without having much of a regard to how much it's going to cost. And unfortunately, once the price comes back and you lay it all out, it's just not something that can work for them, right?
And then they've put in a lot of work. You've put in a lot of work.
And money too. I mean, they've invested in the plans and they paid someone to draw it. So a lot of times it goes back to a total redraw. But what we like to do is get in on the conversation early on, and the people that can trust, which I think that's what it comes down to, is trusting a builder early on to help in the design process, to find areas that can honestly make it fit within their budget. So is how it all works is someone will come to me with a plan if I'm not involved already, and within 3 weeks I can have a full package back to them. And that's one of our strong points, is we get you back your price quicker than most people. And you're able to make your decision, or we can value engineer it at that point, which means we can basically get it to work within your budget, and I can make material selections that will work, for your overall goal, and then from that point on, it's my problem. It's not theirs. We can make that into the reality of actually living in their home. Within custom homes are running about, I'd say 5 to 7 months right now. Start to finish. Like a for sale house would be, we're more like 3 or 4 months turnaround on that. So
that's really cool. And I think too, there's a lot of wisdom in that, right? Get someone who knows the industry, who's going to do it. And is there a process that you go through with maybe a couple that comes to you, or someone that comes to you and says, hey, we're thinking about doing this? Like, I know you said you just kind of say yes and walk through that door, but like, is there a process to see if it's a good fit for them to work with you and you to work with them? Like, because everyone has different personalities, and I'm sure you've worked with a ton of different people, and there's certain people that are just kind of like throw caution to the wind. Oh yeah, whatever works. And then you have the other people that are like super detailed and are going to like every penny, and they want to see itemized stuff. Like, how does that work? I mean, is there ever a point you say, hey, we might not be the best fit, or like, no, we can do this. Let's walk through it and just have clear expectations.
Very rarely do we say this probably isn't going to work for us, because we've worked with the ultimate detailed / difficult personalities, and we've worked with the real loosey-goosey ones. And the people that are extremely detailed a lot of the time is very nice, because they'll hand me a spreadsheet of everything they want in their house. Yeah. And I can just take that and accurately bid it, and I can get it exactly where they want it. And then the people that don't, we're able to put our input in. You know, we're able to say this, this, and this. And those are the people that probably trust your overall product more, because they've been there and they've seen it, and they know they just want a Pacific Edge house. You know? So both aren't a problem at all. And we enjoy it, because it's variety, man. I mean, it's, you know, it's not a cookie cutter process. No. So.
Well, I think that's something too to be said for you. Then when I look at like your guys' website, which is,
it's pacificedge.builders.
Okay, pacificedge.builders. When I've been online there, I've seen that site. I've seen a lot of the social media things. You got some cool stuff going on with your different projects, and some drones and like time lapse stuff, which is really cool. Which I think even was just a really cool creative idea for you guys to do. But what is that? Or I'm sorry, back to where I was going, is the fact that I feel like at some point you guys shifted a little bit in the way you design the layouts of your homes, and even some of the finishes, right? Like, they weren't just your normal spec house. Kind of like, I'm not gonna say cheap, but but they look like your for sale homes. Sorry, I don't want to say spec. Your for sale homes, they look like a custom home.
Yeah, thanks. Early on, Ian's wife Tracy did our design when we started selling houses together. She was full-time designer on that. She's not anymore. Kids got busy and everything, but. And made them designer quality homes. I mean, she was looking at every fixture and every finish and making them. And the level of products is sometimes I think they're a little too nice, to be honest with you. I mean, they're really nice stuff. Like the flooring is wide plank, you know, engineered floor and all this and that. So it all works together. I think that was important to us early on. It helped us make our brand.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's cool.
It still is important, I should say. It's not like we faded from that.
Yeah. So like, what is, as you've gone from, you know, smaller amount of projects to the year to growing and adding people and all this kind of stuff, what has been, I think, what's been the biggest key for you guys as a company to building that brand, to building that awareness, where when people think about, hey, I think we want to build a house, and they start looking through stuff, or all of a sudden Pacific Edge comes to mind. Like, how did you do that? Because I feel like the awareness of your company has grown a ton. So what is that? Was there anything intentional? Is it word of mouth? Like, what's been the best way for you to grow?
I would say a lot of it would be social media. We started really pushing hard on the Instagram and you know, the Facebook, but I think when our volume of homes increased and our signs were everywhere, people had no choice but to realize, hey, wow, okay, they're putting up a lot of product, and they're still putting up a lot of product, so we should probably call them. And I mean, references are great. You know, we have a lot of happy customers behind us.
Yeah, so. That's really cool. 2 things.
Yeah.
Most difficult thing about your job, and the most enjoyable thing about your job.
Okay. I would say the most difficult thing about my job, sometimes you have too many plates to spin, and I'm learning that as we're getting some different levels of management beneath Ian and I, and it's delegating, learning what to delegate, and we're creating job descriptions for everybody and who does what. Yeah. But I think coming into that, realizing, okay, I can't answer this customer's phone call, I can't line out my guys, and I can't go over the cabinet layout all within the same hour. Right? It's all got to be prioritized, and we started now at the beginning of the week making the things that have to be done, and then leaving a lot of buffer in our day to reactions, because ultimately we have to be reactive all day long because things are coming to us. We can't plan every hour of every day. So we're available, and we've created buffer spaces for that.
Do you feel that the margin and the buffers that you've created has allowed, I'd say, more sanity in your day?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think we'd attribute a lot of our growth to making that. Ian and I have spent a lot of time driving around in a truck together, and that's funny. But what it is, ultimately, it's a lot of creative space to keep talking and scheming and figure out what we're going to do next and where we want to be. But to get back on track, I would say the most enjoyable thing about my job is seeing the projects honestly come to life. I work them on paper, for 6 months or sometimes up to a year before they actually, we break ground. And then when we're in the process of it, enjoying the process is the most enjoyable thing, right? I mean, in life is the process and not so much the outcome. Yeah. So we've been working hard at, trying to have a good time with that.
Yeah. Enjoying the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's big.
Yeah. Do you see one of the things that I like to ask people who are in business, with my background in youth ministry, but I also believe that businesses can be used for good, whether someone's of a certain faith or a thing like that, or just in general. But what have you seen that maybe through your business it's allowed you to maybe invest into community or different people or missions or whatever it might be? What has the growth of your company meant for, let's just say, giving back?
I think when we started getting more than one employee, we realized it was a really good platform to give people opportunity to succeed in their job. I think the construction trade, you might say, you don't always have the cream of the crop, and there's guys that are down and out that just honestly need a place to go to work every day and actually feel like they're a part of something. And we've seen that firsthand with a couple of our guys, and it's been awesome.
That's cool.
And they're excited about coming to a place and honestly having something to do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big reasons, giving back to our guys.
Yeah.
So
investing into them, making them feel valued as a part of a team.
Yeah, and respecting people. That's we love our guys, and we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if you don't feel respected at work, you're not going to want to go to work, right? So it's a big deal.
That's really cool. I'll kind of wrap it up here a little bit, but what would you say makes you get up every morning? What do you you get up, obviously you're going to go to work, try to provide for your family. But what's that drive? Why do I want to make Pacific Edge great? Why make Pacific Edge great again?
Yeah. Well,
but why do you want to make Pacific Edge great? What's that drive behind it?
I think I was taught early on from my parents would be just to, strive for excellence. Yeah. And I never did anything else. All I've done is this. And I remember going to lumber yards with my first boss going, yeah, I really feel like I'd like to go to the lumber yard someday and drive my own truck with big racks, And honestly, now that I'm there and doing that, it's I'm going to keep kicking butt as long as I can.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. I love what I do. Yeah. And I wouldn't ever want to do anything else.
Yeah.
So that's the truth of the matter.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Simple, but
yeah, that's cool. Well, Tyler, thanks for being on today.
Yeah, you betcha.
We wish you guys all the success that you can handle, and
Appreciate
God blesses
that.
your company and you continue to grow. And I just think too, for people to understand, check out pacificedge.builders and on social media, Instagram. Chad Fackerman does some cool drone videos for you guys and stuff, and time lapse, and just watch them grow. And if you guys need a house built, there's a pretty good guy there. Check him out, and we'll go from there. But thanks everybody for joining us. Tyler, thanks for being on today.
Yeah, you bet.
And have a great week, everybody.